GB, you good?
The OUR is here to regulate the operation of your water, light, and power, your internet and phone. The OUR is here to get you to know your rights.
The OUR is here to regulate how the public utilities operate. Water, light, phone, and internet. The OUR keep them in check.
Contact us at 1-888-CALL-OUR, the Office of Utilities Regulation. OUR, regulating utilities for the benefit of all.
Good morning and welcome to OUR's webinar on Jamaica's additional area code, which will see the introduction of 10-digit dialing in Jamaica come May 31, 2018. We thank you for joining us in what we anticipate will be an exciting and engaging interaction this morning, where you will hear from the Office of Utilities Regulation, the two major telecommunications providers, Digicel and Flow, about this change in Jamaica's telecommunications landscape and the implications for you. My name is Elizabeth Bennett Marsh, and I'm the Public Education Specialist at the Office of Utilities Regulation, and I will be your moderator today. At this time, I will introduce the members of the panel today. Beside me is the Consultant for Numbering Administration and ICT Network at the Office of Utilities Regulation, Curtis Robinson. Beside Curtis is Charles Douglas, who is the Director for Regulatory Affairs at Flow. And beside Charles is Elon Parkinson, the Regional Communications Manager for Digicel. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
The format for today's webinar: short presentations from each person, first from the regulator about the rationale for this change that we'll see coming May 31, and is in fact here already because we are now in possession of an additional area code. 658, ladies and gentlemen, will be the new area code for Jamaica. We now actually have it in our possession, and it's now actually enforced and will be used.
Good morning, everyone. Most persons in Jamaica will know that local dialing in Jamaica has evolved over time. At various times since 1958, to make a telephone call, you had to dial 3 digits, then 4 digits, later on 5 digits, and now you are required to dial 7 digits. But all along, the telephone number that you were accustomed to was actually 10 digits in length. Now, that 10-digit number is the basic telephone numbering scheme for what is called the North American Numbering Plan. It's abbreviated NANP and pronounced NANP. The NANP serves the geographic area consisting of the United States and its territories, Canada, the Bahamas, Bermuda, and 16 Caribbean countries. And these are the English-speaking countries of the Caribbean, including, of course, Jamaica, a total of 20 countries. The NAMP actually was developed in 1947 by AT&T. The area of comprising the North American Numbering Plan is called the North American Numbering Plan area. And this geographic space is divided into smaller numbering plan areas. And each is identified by a 3-digit NPA code called an area code. The basic NAMP number is 10 digits in length, as I said, consisting of a 3-digit area code. That's the first 3-digit of that 10-digit numbering resource, followed by a 7-digit telephone number, which you know as currently your 7-digit telephone number. Now, Jamaica and other Caribbean countries, including the Bahamas, Bermuda, joined the NAMP in 1958. and shared country code 809. I'm not sure how many persons viewing this program remember the 809 country code, area code for Jamaica. However, in 1996, Jamaica obtained its own area code, and that was area code 876. And at that time, the government of Jamaica gave the incumbent telecoms service provider the responsibility to manage the numbering resources under 876 area code. Now, when the OER was formed, that responsibility was transferred from Telecommunications of Jamaica as it was then. And the Act mandates the OER to assign numbers to carriers and service providers and to make rules governing the use and assignment of those numbers. Now, the NANP resource actually contains, or the actual number contains a total of 8 million telephone numbers. Under the area code, there are 8 million telephone numbers. And you ask yourself the question, if the population of Jamaica is just under 3 million, then what have we done with 8 million numbers? Well, hold your question. We didn't get the math wrong. You see, the demand for telephone numbers is not specifically tied to population, but a combination of new technologies, innovation in services and products, and the various uses to which telephone numbers have been put has actually strained the number resources. And as a result, there is a shortage of numbers, which occurs at what we call the central office code level. Now, I'll backtrack a bit for you. The NANP number is a tri-segment resource. The first 3 digits comprise or represent the area code. The second 3 is what's called a central office code or an exchange code. For example, 952 serves the exchange in Montego Bay, for example. And then the last 4 digits referred to as the line number. So, as I said, the depletion of numbering resources is actually at the central office code level. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, the graphic you're observing attempts to illustrate that, in actual fact, we are running out of numbers. The NPA code, or the area code, subsumes a total of 773 central office or exchange codes for regular telephone service. And each central office code consists of 10,000 numbers. And the OER, when it's assigning numbering resources to the telecoms operators, we assign on the basis of exchange codes. So we actually then assign numbers in blocks of 10,000 numbers. And we assign these codes quite judiciously, fairly and equitably. And we make these assignments based on the actual needs of the telecoms operators in order to ensure that there is good husbandry and proper conservation of this finite numbering resource. Now, when the available numbers of exchange codes are near exhaustion, the OER, as the regulator, must initiate a process to augment the supply of numbering resources. And this process is referred to as NPA relief, or area code relief. Now, NPA relief refers to, as I said, an activity that is performed when exchange codes within the NPA or air code is near exhaustion. The relief planning process actually may commence 3 to 5 years before the exhaustion of the existing code. And typically, a new code is introduced at least 18 months before the exhaustion of the existing area code, that is, exhausting area code. And providing relief for an exhausting area code takes the form of an addition of an area code, or depending on the circumstances or the actual need for numbers. And this happens, for example, in the United States. An exhausting code may be replaced by more than one new or additional area codes. Here in Jamaica, NPA relief will involve the addition of a single area code. So Jamaica is now at the place where it will be introducing an additional area code, and the country consequently will move from the current 7-digit dialing to a mandatory 10-digit dialing for all local calls. So here is another step or stage in the evolution of local dialing in Jamaica. So at time T, 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, May 31, 2018, Jamaica will formally have a second area code, 658. And at that time, too, the country will formally introduce 10-digit dialing, and that will be the standard dialing arrangement for local calls in Jamaica. So we have moved from, we'll be moving from 3-digit dialing, to 4-digit dialing, to 5-digit dialing, to 7-digit dialing, and now we're heading to 10-digit dialing. So the question is, why 10-digit dialing? The NANP number, because of its format, each, or rather all area codes subsume a similar set of 7-digit numbers. So area code 876 will have a set of 7-digit numbers, a total of 7,730,000. And area code 658 will contain a similar quantity and similar set of numbers. So if we take the OER's telephone number, which is 658, what is it, Liz? 968
6053.
6053. You will find a similar number under area code 658. So in order to differentiate between these two similar 7-digit numbers, you will have to dial the area code. And that is one of the major reasons for having 10-digit dialing when we introduce a new area code. There are other technical reasons which will not be applicable to Jamaica, but in our context, it is the need to differentiate between similar sets of numbers under two different area codes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Curtis. So Curtis gave us a brief history about Jamaica's telecoms landscape, where we're coming from. I don't know about you, but I do not remember 3-digit dialing and 5-digit dialing. Maybe Curtis does.
I,
Maybe Charles. I don't know. No,
I
I don't think.
yes,
I have no idea.
I'm old enough. I've been there.
So he gave us a brief history about Jamaica's telecoms landscape, where we're coming from, where we're heading, ladies and gentlemen, and the rationale. Why is it that we have to do this? So from the regulator's perspective, I'm now going to hand over to Charles Douglas from Flow, the Regulatory Affairs Director, when he will speak about what Flow is doing to get themselves prepared as well as their customers prepared. Charles.
Thank you very much, Liz and Curtis. It was really good. That overview was really good. Good morning, listeners, all listening and streaming live. Flow is very, very supportive of this initiative. It is quite needed. We are happy to support the OUR in its proactive approach to introducing this new era code prior to its exhaustion. As Curtis highlighted, there's an 18 to 24-month period for it to really be fully adopted, the cultural change needed for people to dial the format and get used to it, change all their collateral and so on. And the quicker we start is the better. We're happy that the OER has managed the process very well and hasn't waited for the numbers to be exhausted before really pushing very, very stridently this initiative. At a very high level, Flow is very committed. We've invested millions of dollars in getting the network ready. Of course, it involves quite a bit. It involves upgrading the mobile network. It involves software upgrades. In the case of the fixed network, it also involves upgrading switches and or supporting platforms for billing, IVR, messaging, and so on, top-up, and so on, which is readily understandable because right now, as the numbering rules are at this minute, it requires 7-digit dialing, and so the systems are so programmed. And to sort of reprogram them to now process 10 digits, then of course there is some amount of work there that is needed, and we're ready and up to the task of ensuring that it is done. We are very confident that we will be successful with the industry in delivering this. It was only in 2013 we have had to make similar fundamental changes on our network to introduce uniform domestic dialing. I mean, people remember when you had to call from one network to another, you had to put 1+ before it, what's called 1+ dialing. And those changes were made to make the dialing uniform, whether you're calling within your network or off your network. And those changes were successfully made, and we're similarly confident here. Just to give a sense of some of the things that we are doing and we will need to do. On the technical side, a whole lot of testing. We have to change the systems internally and test them to ensure that they're robust and work well. Then we have to test with our partners or other networks that we convey calls to or receive calls from. And then just to make sure that those non-dialing functions, value-added services, voicemail, IVRs, whatever routing systems, or in some cases we offer services, to security firms for vehicle tracking. All of those things that use numbers will ultimately and eventually be impacted as well. Of course, it doesn't affect calls coming in from overseas. Those persons already are dialing 10 digits, and we're processing those well. So the technical things require a lot of man-hours and investment of dollars, which we are doing in partnership with our various vendors, and we're confident that that will be delivered quite well. Now, outside of that, customers are at the heart of what we do. So then it's to get the customers on board, having a very robust communication program, external communication program, using all means. So far, we're looking at Facebook Live. We've started to use that. Our website, we use email blast, we use bill messaging, SMS blast, and we do town hall meetings, different forums to get the message out, because we need to have the network ready and to implement the new NPA, which we're doing, but then it's a national initiative to be adopted by the country for us to have overall success. And we've started this conversation with our customers. There's one interesting area that I know we'll discuss at length, or we'll discuss in some measure. It's people who have their private terminal equipment that process numbers. Public branch exchanges is a good example, commonly called PBXs. These are privately owned, and Flow stands ready to support all its customers to ensure that if they need our services, we will provide it to help them reconfigure these PBXs so that, they will be right there with us in the entire process. Of course, the first concern is tariffs. Will my rate increase? Well, no. This is really primarily to change the way we dial numbers to complete a call. Tariffs will not be changed for this reason. In any monthly recurring costs, rental fees or anything, none of those things will be affected by this change. And so those are our initial thoughts. And again, we are fully behind this process and are confident that it will be successful.
Thank you very much, Charles. So Charles just talked about, for example, how the level of work that Flow is doing in getting everything ready for May 31 this year, including testing within the network, but also across the network to the other telcos. They have to make sure that everything is okay. So when their clients call to another network, then the calls go through smoothly. He made a very important point, which is that it will not affect overseas calling. We will elaborate on that a bit more. Our calls coming in from overseas, we'll elaborate on that a bit more as we go into the question and answer session. But for now, I'm going to hand over now to Elon Parkinson, who is the regional communications manager at Digicel, to tell us about what Digicel is doing.
Hi, thanks, Liz. And again, much thanks to the OUR for putting on this webinar. Always, a good thing for consumers, especially when they see the two telecoms competitors sitting in the same room in a webinar such as this, working for the common good. And that common good is, of course, ensuring that all of you understand what this 10-digit dialing format is all about, right? Simply put, when you dial overseas and you have to put 1718, for instance, and the other 7 digits to call New York, well, you'll do the same going forward as of May 31, where you dial 876, for instance, and the other 7 digits that you're commonly used to. A little later on, I'm going to, give you a few tips and tricks as to how you can convert all of your contact list to make sure that you make the conversion to 876, first of all, in preparation for the new area code. And that way, you don't confuse yourself too much. And at the same time, you make sure that you're ready for when the new area code comes on board. You're able to just easily differentiate in your contact list already because everybody else would already have the 876 appendage to their 7-digit number. For us at Digicel, it's about making a smooth transition to this new environment. And smooth transition for you means that you will simply dial the 876 before you dial the other numbers. In fact, you can do that now. After this webinar, I suggest you try it. Yes, it does work. And then you can start the conversion on your own, right? But it's also to ensure that we keep reminding you, right? Charles had indicated earlier that, we will for instance, when you dial a number as of May 31, you will get a reminder to say, hey, it's 10 digits going forward. So just observe that and you make it easy on yourself, as well as to use other channels to remind you. So you dial the number, you'll get a quick little message to say, hey, dial 10 digits next time. And this will happen for a good period up until about October 31, correct? And we'll also be reminding you via radio. Digicel reaches out to its customers via traditional radio, television as well. So through interviews and programs, we will be doing that. Of course, our Facebook, our Instagram pages, Snapchat, we'll always be dropping those reminders for the next couple of months. We will also be using the interactive voice response when you dial 100, for instance, to give you a special reminder about how you use the 10-digit dialing format going forward. And we'll be using the newspapers. We were in the Observer recently talking about this, and people were reading about it, and they were using that bit of information to get in touch with us to find out how it will affect them. So you're watching this morning mainly because you want to know how it's going to affect you. For us, we have been making sure that our systems are ready. We've been doing the testing. We have been, doing the cross-network calling as well, just to make sure that it's going to work well for you. And like I said, try it for yourself. The next time you dial, put 876 before the number. The next time you save somebody's number, do the very same. And you'll find that this experience is going to work, be like clockwork, really. And that you're going to have the right information, so you're going to know what to do, and you're going to do it quite well.
All right. So thank you, Elon. So between the Flow and Digicel, you're hearing how they have been pushing out messages in various formats to you, the customers, to let you be more aware of the changes that are coming and what you should expect. Elon also talked about the point that they are working closely with their customers to ensure a very smooth transition, and they're pushing out constant reminders in various formats, including their IVR. So whenever you call Digicel, you'll probably be hearing more about it, etc. And he also spoke to another thing that I'll be talking with them about too, is what will customers hear come May 31 if it is that they dial wrongly. But I want to hear from you. So we're going to be having a discussion, but we are wanting to hear from you, so please WhatsApp us. I've put a number on your screen. I hope you can see it. It's the number is 316-2647. 316-2647. We're going to leave that up for a little bit so that you can see, and we want to hear from you. But I'm going to throw my first question to Curtis, because there are several methods, Curtis, in which we could have applied this new error code in Jamaica. There's a split method, there's an overlay method. I know in one of our engagements somebody was asking us why we prefer one to the other. But I'm going to leave you to explain what is the difference, Curtis, between those two and why we're choosing what we have chosen.
Okay, there are two basic alternative relief methods. And I say basic because there are variants of those two methods, basic methods or fundamental approaches. But these variants do not apply, thankfully, in Jamaica. And these are the split method and the overlay method. But before I explain what we're talking about here, I just want to clarify a little what should I say, nomenclatural nuance in the use of the term NPA. It's important for your understanding.
That's a big word. I don't know what that means.
Just industry talk,
Yes.
Right. Now, when we say NPA, earlier you heard me say that the North American Numbering Plan era is divided into smaller numbering plan areas, and each is assigned a NPA code or area code. Now, the nuance is this. The geographic area served by the area code is called NPA, and the actual area code is also called NPA. So to make a distinction, we normally say in industry NPA code, but actually this is NPA. So 876 is NPA 876, serving NPA 876, no, which is Jamaica.
Right.
So Jamaica geographically is NPA 876, and the area code serving this geographic area is NPA or area code 876. And this is important to understanding the split and overlay methods that we're talking about here. Now, in the split method, the area served by the exhausting area code is divided into two zones. And the division may be along natural borders or jurisdictional boundaries. That's a very political situation. Well, that's a political, not in a sense. The existing area code is assigned to one of the zones, and the new code is then assigned to the other zone. Now, you can immediately recognize the seriousness of that, because what this will mean is that the area that is served by the new code will lose all numbers in the existing code, and every person or holder of a telephone number in that new zone will undergo a number change. In the overlay method, the new NPA is actually overlaid, so to speak, on the existing NPA. So the new area code will serve the same geographic area as the exhausting or existing area code. That is called NPA overlay. Now,
which is the method the OER has chosen.
Yeah.
The OER has actually chosen the overlay method. And the general attributes of these two methods are, for the split method, 7-digit dialing can easily be retained in the local calling areas for the two NPA codes. However, calling across NPA zones will require 10-digit dialing. And as I said, number changes are required where in the area that will now be served by the new area code. Of course, as you can well imagine, possible disputes over which area retains the existing code may occur. And this would have and does have in other jurisdictions political and regulatory implications. For the overlay method, this is typically favored by telecoms operators because it's less costly. And in fact, the split method is hardly used today. And it has been used only in the United States and Canada. No number changes are required, certainly, in the overlay method. But it will require 10-digit dialing for local calls, as I explained earlier, that having two area codes in a single geographic space will necessitate a differentiation between numbers that are common under the area codes.
Okay, thank you, Curtis. Gentlemen, let's talk about what we call the period of permissive dialing. And I'm going to throw it out to Flo and Digicel to talk with us about what exactly does this mean. Charles, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. So we want everyone to understand that come May 31st, NPA Relief will be implemented on our networks. What that means is that the networks will have the ability to deliver calls using 658 and the next 7 digits, or 876 and the next 7 digits. So it's implemented. However, the 658 area code will not be introduced at that time. That will be introduced subsequently based on the OER's management of the numbering resources. So what this means then is that people are required to dial 10 digits at May 31st, but we understand that everybody would not have adopted, their cultural changes to be made. So we'll be messaging, look, dial 10 digits. However, if they forget and don't remember and they just dial as they would customarily dial, then they will get a recording advising them to dial 10 digits the next time, but the call will still go through. Or the call will still be permitted. So this period of persons not, going back to their defaulting through error or otherwise will be for 5 months as gratefully provided by the OER. And so no one has to be overly concerned or worried that they will lose business calls, they will not be able to contact their family, their friends, their social interaction will not be compromised because it is understood that they need a period of acclimatization, adjustment, and that's what we call the permissive period. We're not encouraging people to disregard the need to adapt quickly.
Because we know behavior, it's hard to adapt and so on.
But it's just a part of the sensible management of the process. Elon, is there anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I think that's just about it. It's just, you know, always remember, we're going to remind you, but just in case you forget, you know, do it, you know, we will provide that, you know, quick audio reminder whenever you dial. And by the way, you're not being billed while you get that audio reminder.
Because, you know, we have $100 credit. We don't have the time to sit down and listen to your recording.
Just want to make sure, right? So you're going to get that interrupter. And it probably is going to annoy you after a little while, which is probably a good thing, because then you will dial the 10 digits next time, right? And that's the kind of behavior change we want to encourage anyway, right? But look, the thing is, head off this thing from the curve by simply putting in 876 when you save a number, right? So the next time you get a number, the person tells you the 7 digits, just drop in the 876 before, right? So that way you are already ahead of the game. So when you dial through, you don't have to hear that what will become an annoying you know, voice prompt telling you that next time you dial 10. But yeah, absolutely, absolutely important. But certainly that, you know, you'll get used to it, and you'll be well ahead, and you'll be able to know, tell your friends and family members that, hey, dial 10 instead of 7.
All right, our chat line is heating up, gentlemen. Posing a question. Good morning and commendations to the OUR for hosting this webinar. Thank you very much. A question as it relates to PBX and flows offered to help customers reprogram them. That's your question, Charles. What is the process for engaging Flow to have this scheduled?
So Flow is committed to supporting all customers that have PBX systems for which it has an expertise. So there are different types of systems. Avaya, there are different systems. We are committed that the systems for which we have an expertise, whether you are a Flow customer or not, our goal is to be of help. And those arrangements are being finalized at the moment. We contemplate that we'll use in-house resources. We contemplate that we may have to contract also third-party contractors, independent contractors, who have the ability, and and just to say, who may offer this service all on their own without reference to Flow or Digicel. Right? And so that we will resource up, and then we will then engage. We anticipate that we'll be going above the line with this messaging, and we'll be including in our communications. And so what I would say to the caller or the questioner is that, you know, stay tuned. You will shortly be hearing above the line messages as to the process and the number you can call and so on.
I'm throwing this out to everybody on the panel. What is if it is another question coming in through our WhatsApp line? And just a reminder, it is 316-2647. If you want to send us a text with your comments, queries, questions, even if it's personal to you as a telecoms provider, you in your individual capacity, we want to hear from you, yeah? What is efficiency gains and increased service quality to the end user? So what's the efficiency gains, and how can we see, or will we see increased service quality to the end user? I'm throwing that out.
I think it's more along the line of simplification. The truth is that as Jamaica becomes part of, or more ingratiated into the global village, as we like to call it, a lot more of us are dialing 10 digits, in some cases 11 digits, to reach people overseas. That's a fact, right? WhatsApp as well has opened up that international space to us even more. So I have some friends on my WhatsApp in Australia, and when I look at those, the long string of numbers, I have some friends in Europe as well, especially in Eastern Europe, where you get another long string of numbers, 001 plus this, that, whatever, right? So already we're seeing where numbers are not just restricted to 7 digits, right? I mean, we've just become accustomed to that in Jamaica. But again, with this global village being opened up to us, with more Jamaicans traveling, with more people having friends and relatives abroad, and seeing that those numbers are actually quite longer than they really are, you know, it's just a matter of bringing Jamaica now into the long string of numbers to say, hey, we really were a 10-digit nation long time. It's just that we're just practicing on 7. So let's now get into the 10-digit lane. That's all, really. That's what it is.
It's an interesting question. So if you're talking about efficiencies and gains, you can look at it from this perspective. When you are assigned an NPA, as Curtis very nicely expounded on, it's a finite set of numbers. At some point, it's going to be exhausted. So let's say we start with 8 million numbers, give and take, within an NPA. But the world has changed. So numbers are being used as an enabler, not just to make a call, but to facilitate services. So you talk about the Internet of Things, you talk about tracking devices, you talk about all these different services that will require a number to be assigned to it in order for it to be delivered and properly billed.
Yes.
So if you talk about people who want, say, even toll-free numbers, that will give them a particular mnemonic or a particular meaning, call so-and-so. If it's already exhausted in the current range of 876, you can see readily a pool of numbers, nice numbers, or things that they can do for their businesses. It suddenly becomes available. So it facilitates more services, it will facilitate more businesses, and people may just be able to represent or advertise their businesses in ways that they can't do now because of a new additional pool of numbers. So, but the service quality is being delivered by the network, delivered by the switches, delivered by the platforms, and they are efficient, they're quite good. It's not like this is going to, in any way, that's why we test.
Yes.
It's not going to degrade it or anything.
It will not affect service quality.
Optimal
Absolutely
efficiency
not.
of service quality.
The questions are coming in fast and furious. This question, I think, goes to you, Curtis. And it's a very good question because I think we have also heard it when we're out there engaging customers. Why specifically 658 as the area code and not 877? Because you know we're 876 already, so why not 877? How was this chosen and how will this affect number portability based on the country's geographic? Very good question.
Okay. The area codes are managed by the North American Numbering Plan Administration or administrator, depending on the context in which you're using the terms. This is an agency of the Federal Communications Commission of the United States, and they have responsibility for the mutual administration of the North American Numbering Plan. And they have plenary authority over the assignment of area codes. Certainly, they will accommodate requests for special codes. However, the quantity of area codes have depleted over time. And the choice of numbers has reduced significantly. Certainly they gave consideration to Jamaica, but 658 was the best they could
Somebody say, it has
do.
no rhyme or, why not?
Actually, I
think
with
OER is gone already.
Yes.
Yes, but they had to
fine
understand that because I think there's a thinking that we had a choice in the number that we wanted. Just like people will call Digicel or Flow and say, my name is, Marva, so I want a number that has Marva, So, yeah.
In which case, we don't control that. It's
We
the way
don't.
you are. We just prepare.
Yes,
It's
which is
based on what you
Well,
you
can I
assign to
boast
us.
a little to our viewers to say that I think Jamaica is the first country in the English-speaking Caribbean that has 2 area codes and will be introducing 10-digit dialing. So we are normally leaders in a...
Yeah, we're a country of firsts.
Yes.
Suffice it to say, the OER did seek to determine whether a special code that we think everybody would like would available, but
We
you
tried.
unfortunately,
It did not.
it didn't exist. No.
What was that special code you were looking for?
Anything that we believe everybody would certainly know.
Someone suggested that 958 would have been cool.
958.
Yeah, Usain Bolt's record.
Oh my goodness, never thought of that.
Another question coming in, gentlemen. Another very good question. I love this because it leads us into another part of the thing that we wanted our viewers to get. How will 10-digit dialing affect centers with 1888 numbers? So we're used to hearing a lot of, it's in a lot of, I think even the OUR has a jingle now that has 1888 called OUR. How will this impact on those, or will it?
Okay. There are 2 separate numbering resources. Just recently, the OUR reintroduced the toll-free numbering scheme. That's the 888 toll-free numbering scheme. Now, you perhaps know that there is an 888 toll-free number in the United States. And that, over time, had created some conflict. We have redesigned our local toll-free scheme to eliminate the conflict between the United States 888 toll-free numbers and Jamaica's local 888 toll-free scheme. The The only change that will take place is that at the implementation of 10-digit dialing, you will no longer be required to dial, when you're dialing a local toll-free number, to dial 1-888. You'll simply dial 888 and the 7 digits that follow. Now, if you're dialing an 888 toll-free number in the United States, you will have to dial 1-888 and the 7 digits that follow.
So let's be very clear. So we're used to having 1-888 call OUR. As of May 31, drop the 1, it's straight 10-digit dialing across the board. So it's going to be 888. So we're asking, we're going to, because will they go through if they dial 1 in front of it? It will not be considered an overseas call. Is that what will happen?
No, there's no permissive dialing
period for that. So
yeah.
you dial 888 and the 7-digit number. Yeah. I think, Charles, you were the one who had talked about the fact that it won't impact on overseas calls, the dialing format for calls going overseas and calls coming into Jamaica. That's what you had said. Okay.
Because we already dial,
yes,
and they dial the string of digits together, and we process it on the back end. So.
Another point I wanted us to talk about, gentlemen, is I have my numbers in my contacts now. They don't have 876 on it for whatever reason. I'm expected to go through scores of numbers and add the 876. How can I do that?
All right, so the good thing is that technology has assisted us with that. If you are to, if you're an Android user or even an iPhone user as well, you can go
smartphone specifically.
Smartphone users in general, right? You can go to the Google Play Store or the iStore, the Apple Store, and you'll find some cool apps there dealing with your area code. I'm going to find the names of the apps in a little bit and share them with you. But there are about maybe 4 or 5 apps that you can, if you plug in, app for a new area code, for instance, you'll find those apps. And what they do really is that you download the app and the app gets access to your contact list. And once it does, then it converts all of the 7-digit numbers. It adds 876 to it. Simple. So you're better off doing it now, so that way when 658 comes in, you don't cause any confusion, right? So that app will need access to your contact list, and that's it. It does it, voila, in a matter of minutes, and it's completed depending on the amount of contacts you have in your list. Of course, if you have 876 already, for some contacts, then it will just simply ignore it and jump over to the ones that are only 7-digit numbers. Some of the apps I've noted you have to pay for, like $1.99. Try and find a free one. Is that
a one-off cost or?
It's a one-off cost, yeah, right. So that's it. Once you pay and you're in, then that's it. So try and avoid the cost. It's a small cost. Like I said, I think one is 99 cents. I've seen one for $1.99. Nothing more than that, really. And I think there's a free one, too. So just find the free one and do that. Now, if you have a simple talk and text phone, like a banger, as we like to call it, boy, you're in for something. What it means is that from now on, you're simply going to have to start saving your numbers with 876.
Manually.
My recommendation to you is that every time you dial somebody, after you come off that call, simply go back into the contact and update the information. Do it as you go along, 1 cocoa full basket, as my granny would have said. And in that way, you will find that in no time, certainly by October 31, you will be fully up to speed with 10-digit dialing. It's the best I can offer you right now because, we just don't have a solution for customers.
For
but all of this, the important thing to note is that the telecoms providers, we don't have access to your contact list in your phone. So this is something that you are going to have to do for yourself to make sure that you're compliant come October 31 this year. But again, we're going to be sending you the text message reminders, and we hope that you'll take the messages, listen to them, read them, and of course, put them into action.
And even though that's just, focusing on the mobile users, which were probably number, 3 million?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Huge. Thanks to the work of the OER and the industry support, you've spoken to Yellow Pages for the advertisements. So people should start changing out, their business cards, their documents, their
Which is a good segue. I don't know if you can see the screen to talk about the impact that the introduction of 10-digit dialing will have on customers? Because especially the business community, they'll now be required to make certain changes. Curtis?
Yes, correct.
What are some of these changes that we're looking at?
Well, customer premises equipment, and Charles mentioned a few of the PBX systems and so on.
Which is what we know most popularly, yes.
No, from the operator's perspective, domestic and international networks, the operational and support systems may have to be modified, updated, software updates. Business support activities, yes. Modification of non-telecoms databases. Public education is key. For the regulator, there will be changes in the national numbering plan and the national dialing plan, which have implications for the telecoms operators.
Oh, by the way, so I told you I would recommend an app. Yes. All right, I found the paid ones. There's a free one, which has very good ratings as well. So I'm not only recommending it because it's free, but also because the ratings are good. 4.5 out of 5. Which is in terms of Google Play standards. Google App Store standards. What am I talking about? Google App Store.
Play Store.
Play Store. Yes. Standards. It's very good. It's called Add the Country Code. No brainer, right?
So it's
Add country code. That's the name of the app. And you can just go on, install it, and I'm seeing where a lot of people, this guy named Romar is saying, excellent app, solved my problem of inserting area codes on all my contacts, right? So you can download that app. It has 10,000 downloads so far, and like I said, 4.5 likes out of a potential 5, so I'd give it a thumbs up. Go ahead, install it, and, get it done.
That's very good. Let's go back to talking a bit more about the Charles.
Yes. Someone had asked about number portability. Would you like to address that?
I'm going to go back to that question about number portability because I do have another question coming in on that, but elaborated a bit. But let's go back to the impact because Charles, Curtis spoke from the high end in terms of telcos and the regulator, etc. But let's trickle it down to the business core now because we're seeing where, for example, they're now going to have to now add their 876. They haven't started to do so to their printed materials.
Right.
Their advertising, so in the newspapers, their print ads, even the classified ads, we have started engaging the media, the advertising agencies and media houses already about that. Signage, promotional materials, their letterheads. You talk about the programming of their PBX systems, etc. It's on your screen. I hope you can see what we're talking about. Updating of directory listings. We have already been in dialogue with Yellow. So if you're viewing us now, you have a directory beside you, just switch to a random page, you will notice the big change this year is that every number now has 876 in front of it, compared to last year's directory where it didn't have any. So that's one of the significant changes that you will see. You won't notice it until you need it, but the 876 is there. And we're preparing you because in another few years, the 658 will start being in use. So while you may say, oh, it's all 876 now, that's good. But once these numbers are exhausted on the 876, and the 658 area code starts being used, then it's very possible that your number will also exist under the 658 area code. Yeah? A question had come about number portability, so I wanted Curtis to address that question in answering the question about number portability, if my thing will just come up. And I hope it will come up very shortly. And while it comes up, can I ask the telcos, can customers start using 876 now in front of their numbers?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if they dial it now, because one
person
said
you get through.
Meeting, I want to start practicing now, can I use it? And I say, I'm not
sure.
Yeah,
man. And a lot of people have been using it already. I mean, thanks again to WhatsApp. I mean, because people have been adding persons via WhatsApp, and especially as they come to appreciate the fact that a number is more than 7 digits.
Yes.
We already have that behavior change taking place and people are adopting quite nicely.
Yes.
I think a forum such as this will just assist customers to adopt at a faster rate and to get everybody on board sooner. Apps like this one, will also assist the process.
Yes.
Just to expand on that though, because the question is nuanced, right? How modern your technology is matters. So like Elon has said, Flow is similar. on the mobile network, it's almost seamless. It's almost seamless. It does require some upgrading, some software upgrading, and especially remember, it's not just the dialing format that matters. They are back office systems that also need to be reconfigured and programmed. So dialing is fine, but there are other services which hang off that, non-dial type services. So these systems also need to be upgraded. And so, yes, if you dial, the call will be placed, but it depends on what you're using the number for, right?
Yes.
On the fixed network with our legacy switches, those need upgrading. They were configured to deliver 7 digits. So unlike the mobile with that versatility, those have to be actually upgraded. So if you were to dial that now, today, you would not get through. But shortly, those will be upgraded, and it will definitely be rolled out from May 31st. So on the mobile side, a non-issue for either our companies. On the fixed side, it's a little more nuanced, but we'll be right there. We'll be fine.
All right, 5 minutes before we end this broadcast this morning, it's going very well. I'm quite liking the questions I'm getting. I'm trying to get as many of them in as possible, so forgive me, please, if we don't get all of them in, but please keep sending them. Mr. Elon, he said Mr. Elon, spoke of the pre-recording before completing the call. How will this affect charging after the fact when this implementation has been completed mixed with portability? Will we receive a recording when dialing another network which the number was ported to a competitor's network to have options that facilitate contracting charges or not? I'm trying to...
All right, let me just break it down for you.
There's no full stop
fee
here, so I'm trying to...
No charge, no charge, simply. Ported number, non-ported number, your original number from a long time or your number that you got yesterday that you're dialing through to another locally, there is no charge at all. The only thing that will change about the experience is that if you dial 7 digits after May 31, you will get the recording that says, hey, next time dial 10 digits because Jamaica has moved to a 10-digit dialing format. That's it. Very simple. All we're saying, however, is that during the time when you dial, so you dial 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you're holding, right? The recording comes on as of this date. You now use 10 digits to dial. However, your call will be put through as dialed, right? Call starts to ring, phone is answered. That's when you start paying, when phone is answered, right? So all that happens before that, you're not being billed as normal. But of course, we're interrupting that session just to make sure that we reinforce the message, all right? And then to the point where you get annoyed, you start saying, all right, let me avoid hearing this lady or this man on the phone telling me to dial 10 digits. So you dial 10 digits and get rid of us out of your ears. And of course, you get through to your calling party even quicker. That's the objective.
And of course, Elon, we will commit to making that message as short as possible.
As short as possible.
Yeah, man. As possible.
It's a good point to raise at this time, a good time to raise this point, that it will be a standard message across the networks. So there will be a standard recording. Of course, it will vary depending on the network. They'll have their own persons voice them. But you'll hear a message, for example, so you dial 7 digits. So you'll hear, we are now dialing 10 digits in Jamaica. Yeah. We encourage you to start using that method. However, we'll not connect your call. Something like that.
Please dial 10 next time you call or something.
So that's during what we call remember earlier we spoke about the period of permissive dialing. So for the 5 months between May 31 and October 30, you will hear recording because we recognize, when you change your password on your computer, I don't know if you're like me, it takes me quite a few days to stop putting in the old password. So we know that change, it will take a while for changes to come. But then after October 31, if you keep dialing 7 digits, then you're going to have to hang up and dial 10 digits. So your call will not be put through after October 31. Good morning, Curtis made a point that the second set of 3 digits represents the area. However, given the flexibility of number portability, will this change where a number can be used? To his example, will I be able to use 658-952-XXX in Kingston, for example? So they want to know whether number portability, will impact on number portability?
Okay, let me explain it this way.
Yes.
the overlay method that we're employing is referred to as an all services overlay method. It means simply that whatever obtains for the existing 876 area code will apply for the new area code. Number portability actually is a service that allows you to change your service provider while retaining your telephone number. There's no change that will actually, whatever obtains for, in the context of the 876 area code, will continue to be the case with your new numbers under your new area code. Okay. Insofar as number portability is concerned. Okay. There is no impact in that regard.
So we have to leave it here, ladies and gentlemen, viewing us this morning. I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank my panelists for being here today. Curtis Robinson is the OUR's consultant on numbering administration and ICT network. Charles Douglas is the director for regulatory affairs at Flow. Thank you, Charles. And Elon Parkinson is the regional communications manager at Digicel.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Someone has asked me to just add, what is the app? It's Add Country Code. That is the app that you can get on the Google Play Store. I don't know if it's available on the other, like Mac, Windows or iPhone, but you could try. It's Add Country Code. That's the app that Elon gave us this morning. The dialogue continues, ladies and gentlemen. We want to hear from you. Please feel free to contact us at the OUR at publicaffairs@our.org.jm or call us at 876-968-6053. We are going to be making this presentation available on our YouTube and other social media channels that the OUR has. So feel free to tell your friends about it and they can log on. Good morning. I'm Elizabeth Bennett Marsh, Public Education Specialist at the Office of Utilities Regulation. Take care.